Good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this. Like I said in an email yesterday, today we're going to start something a little bit new. Today we're going to start a three-part series. In this three-part series, we're going to be joined with Mike Ontrop, the Vice President of Sales for Orion Lighting. Guys, I deal with manufacturers on a daily basis. I deal with vendors. I deal with all kinds of people. Mike is one of my very favorite people in the business, and you're going to soon find out why. Mike has a vast array of knowledge on his products. His products are very innovative, so we're going to get into that with him. Guys, we're going to talk about high bays, retrofits, and some other very interesting things. So, as I mentioned in the email, guys, we're going to do a nice little price package, but it's going to be for the three videos combined. So at the conclusion of the third video, let me know you watched all three. Call me, text me, email me, comment it below. That's all you have to do, and I'm going to draw a name. If you're in Indianapolis, for example, we'll get you out to Tony's Steakhouse or Ruth Chris or one of these. If you're up in Kokomo, maybe Marble, the Steakhouse, and Lafayette, I'm sure we can find something very nice, dinner for two. So guys, take advantage of that. Without any further ado, I want to get with Mike Ontrop here. Today we're going to talk about Orion as a company, where they came from, how they make their product, where they make their product, and we're going to get into high bays today with Mike. Next series, we'll get into some different things, and we'll highlight that as we go along. So without any further ado, guys, I want to introduce you to Mr. Mike Ontrop from Orion.
All right. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us. Like I just told you, we've got Mike Ontrop with us today from Orion Lighting. Mike, if you would, take a second to tell us a little bit about Orion and your role there.
So I'm Mike Ontrop. I've been with Orion almost 20 years. So I was number 9 in the company when it first started up in Plymouth, Wisconsin. We're a lighting manufacturer. We now moved to Manitowoc, Wisconsin, to a 300,000 square foot facility where we've been since about 2008, where all the product that or 90% of the product that we sell is made in Manitowoc. So I'm the Senior Vice President of Regional Markets. That's what I do for Orion. So I cover the whole country for them for the channel side of the business for Orion. So all the product, like I said, is made in Manitowoc. What that does for us for a couple things, it lets us ship product in 10 business days or less. I don't care if you need 6 or 600, we can ship product very quickly. Along with that, what that does for us too is we basically test all the product before it leaves. So not 1 out of 50 or 1 out of 100. We basically plug every fixture in before it leaves, and we check all the sensors and all that stuff, how it works. So when you get it in the field, we have very few failure rates in the field with fixtures, so it's a plus. And then without also the way we package everything and ship it from Wisconsin, we bulk pack about everything we do. So for contractors and stuff in the field, there's very little waste, and it gets you on and off the project as fast as possible with the packaging.
You know, and before we go on to the next thing, Mike, I'll elaborate on that a little bit. I've had the opportunity to get up to the factory. It is truly an impressive, this is not a mom and pop shop. These guys are the real deal. The electrician in me, was drawn to a few things. The fact that every single fixture was tested off the line was huge. And I don't even know if anybody else makes that claim, Mike. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's typically a percentage, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying there's nobody that does it, but we basically physically plug it in and we make sure it lights up. We also overdrive the fixture a little bit just to see if there's any issues. But yeah, every fixture is plugged in at the end. And
yeah, so that's huge. The guys watching this, whether they're going to install it or they're the project manager or the business owner, that's really going to cut down on your failures, which is a big deal. And I don't think anybody'd make a claim that there's 0 failures, but anytime we can minimize that number. And do you have an idea of what your failure rate is, Mike?
It's less than 1%.
Yeah.
And we do catch a lot of stuff up front that, we're dealing with electronics. So every time electronics, just like a TV, sometimes they have a few bad runs. We catch that at the factory before it gets in the field, and you have that issue in the field. So extremely well for us.
I did, my intention wasn't to go down this road this early, but I'll tell you, there's a contractor in the Indianapolis area that's very familiar with your product. He actually lives in my neighborhood, and I talked to him the other day, and we got to talking about your LDRE series, which we'll talk about next week. But he claims he's installed a couple thousand of these, which is not a huge number, but it's a awfully good sampling. And according to him, he's had one fixture that did not work out of something happened where he had one fixture fail out of a couple thousand, and he told me he's 90% sure it had something to do with his technician installing it improperly because it was an emergency fixture. So I think, look, I've been doing this long enough to know that those are crazy numbers, and you have to see it to believe it, but it's extremely impressive.
Even with the packaging, the packaging, a lot of people don't think about that stuff, but from our side of the business, when I first started with Orion, nobody would handle our product. So we actually had to go out and push it ourselves and sell it. We saw a lot of end users direct when we first started, just because nobody else would take our product and go out and sell it. So what we've learned, everything that a contractor deals with, you want the product to show up on time, you want it to work, you don't want all that packaging to get rid of, and you want to get on off job as fast as possible, because that's how you're going to make the most money. So every step we take into production of the fixture, testing it, shipping it, and how you receive it is to get you on and off the job as fast as possible. And if you need a couple fixtures to finish it, you're not waiting 2 or 4 weeks. We can send that product up very quickly to finish the job.
Yeah, it's always funny to me. I talk to these contractors about the way you package materials, and I can see the bubbles coming out of their head with the words, what they're really thinking. Joe, it's damn cardboard. They put it in cardboard boxes like everybody else. Why are you talking to me about packaging? But what's funny to me is the very first Orion package I ever sold was some high bays, and I don't remember how. Just call it a couple hundred, right, or whatever it was, maybe less than that. And I was so impressed with the packaging from visiting your factory that I literally loaded the skid of these high bays up into one of the all-phase vans and drove it all around the state of Indiana to show contractors how you package material. And you would go into some of these offices and say, hey, I really want you to look at how they box stuff. And they're thinking, look, I'm busy, dude. Come on. You want me to look at packaging? And then they'd go out, we pulled it out of the van, set it on their shop floor, and they were floored by it. And I've talked to enough PMs now that are familiar with your product. Because of the way you package it, they reduce the amount of labor they put into the job.
Yeah, and that all adds up. So people buy a product and say, well, your product is $5 higher than the next guy. Well, it may be, but if you look at the overall job and what we bring value-wise to what we can do by testing the product before it leaves, by the packaging, by not having to get rid of all that packaging, by adding somebody just cutting on cardboard. Obviously, if you look at the whole job, we actually come in lower than what we do, even though our fixture may be a little more, which we're very competitive against anything out there, and we're American-made, which I think is huge.
Yeah, and neither one of us are here today to bash your competitors or anything of that nature, but I want everybody to understand probably your number one competitor in the Indianapolis market, and I won't name any names. We find that you are literally the same or less with an extreme amount more efficiency. So same price, maybe even a tick less, sometimes double the life expectancy of the fixture. So when we talk about American made, the way they package, these things all cost money, the quality control from the factory. But at the end of the day, you guys are doing it right, and you're still putting it out at an extremely reasonable price, which I think is one of the number one things I want people to take away from this. When you see all the features of Orion, don't think, you think of the Cadillac, but the Chevrolet price still.
Yeah, and we actually have people come to our factory and they leave and they see how we make product and everything, and they leave saying, "Oh, these guys aren't going to be competitive because A, the factory is very nice, and B, the way we produce stuff is a very high quality, and how we go through it's really the total production system, Six Sigma, which a lot of people in manufacturing know about. And I think you saw this when you come to our factory. Most of our lines are made out of wood, and people look at it and say, "Why do you do that? Are you cheap?" No, it's because we can add and take away lines in a half a day or a day, because when people in our business want product, they don't want to wait 4 to 6 weeks to get it. They want it as fast as possible to make that decision. So we can actually put lines and take lines out, depends on what product load we need to add. I mean, we're doing 6,000 to 7,000 high bays a day if we have to out of our factory. So we're here to support the customer when they want a product and how they want it, and to get it out the door.
Mike, I'm going to have you briefly, speak to where the product is made and how that works. Um, I I firmly believe that, that is a huge deal to me personally, right? Made in America. I mean, I'll go out of my way to find shoes and jeans, and it's just a big part of what I do in my personal life. And I know there's a lot of people watching this video today that is also extremely important too. But before we get to that real quick, the very first thing I noticed when I pulled into your parking lot, we actually came in the backside of the factory where the employee parking is, right? GPS brought us in that way. So the very first thing that I look at for things like that is, what are your employees' drive, right? Because that speaks directly to me on how you take care of your employees. And we'll just say I was impressed, right? It wasn't, from what I could tell, your employees were happy, they're being taken care of, and I think that speaks volumes to Orion as a company.
Yeah, and most of the people like myself have been there a long time. It seems like we have a very unique culture at Orion, so it seems like you either love it and you're there forever, or you find out probably within 6 months you really don't like the culture, and not because it's bad, it's just different.
Right.
So a lot of our people have been there a long time, and we're really a sales organization first, so it's all wrapped around the customer and what we can do for that customer and supporting sales, and everything else kind of follows up behind that. So it's been a very good model. And like I said, I've been there almost 20 years. So I grew up in a pig farm in Ohio, and now I'm a light salesman. So it's been a good career.
And I find your background extremely intriguing. Anywhere we go, I make you tell your story. What's interesting to me, I'm an electrician. You grew up, you're a pig farmer, right? And we find our paths in life. And I tend to do well with contractors that have that same mindset, right? The majority of the people that are watching this today were field electricians at one point, and the ones that weren't, some of these business owners or project managers. I mean, I know that nearly every story is just somebody that hustled, and I think they can relate to that, and I think they appreciate that like I do, and it speaks. I love it. I love the fact that that's how it works out sometimes.
And Orion, to give people to where they started, Orion actually started in agriculture with a jelly jar retrofit. And I had a pig farm, made about, I don't know, a couple thousand pigs. And we had jelly jars on all our farms. And if you sprayed that with the pressure spray, it would crack. Had a 100-watt light bulb and it was really hot, it would crack that glass. So Orion actually went out farm to farm and sold on ROI, which is return on investment for energy savings on farms. And they would actually take the jelly jar out and the 100-watt light bulb off and put a 32-watt Circle T8 in there in an enclosure to be hit with a hammer. So now we could spray that and do anything we want with it and not hurt it. And the reason we did that is because of the return on investment, lumens per watt for the fixture. It did very well. It saved us, went from 100 watts to 32 watts, and we run the lights 24/7. So we saved a lot of energy, and that's the basis what Orion's built on is ROI and how to get the most efficient product to the market and save as much energy as possible and still be competitive.
That's quickly become one of my focal points in the industry is these retrofits with return on investments and these things. So we're hitting that very heavy, and we're going to lead right into high bays here. And I'm telling you, when it comes to Orion high bays, we get phenomenal numbers out of this energy audit software. And I'm going to tell you that I lead with Orion nearly 100% of the time. And Mike, I'm going to have you speak to both the round and the linear high bays, and hopefully, clear that up a little bit as to why I lead with that so often.
Well, the high bay series is what Orion has really grown up in. I mean, when we first started, we sold basically a 6-lamp T8 and went out and talked about ROI and return on investment for the energy savings. So we really have one main product line in the high bay, which is the Star line. Product line. It's a very good line because most people, the first thing we do is all our products made out of aluminum, which dissipates heat faster than steel. So you take away more heat from the fixture, it's going to run more efficient because just to keep the electronics cool and stuff. So the way we design the fixture, most people have taken a chip and put it into an old design or old product because they don't want to retool and all that stuff. We've actually designed a fixture around a chip, and we actually have a chamber that we can test how the heat reacts, how light output reacts to heat, how the chips reacting to heat and all that stuff in our factory. So we basically design that around, engineer it, go out and test it in our facility, make some changes and stuff, and then put it into production after we engineer it from the ground up. So with the Starline product, it's basically all aluminum. We powder coat everything in our own factory, so the paint's a really good finish, high quality. There's no sharp edges on or anything, which people say, well, does that matter? When you get in the field and you handle 1,000 of these, if you got stuff that's sharp edges and all the time you cut yourself, people know what I mean when they're installing them. It goes right around 12,000 lumen up to 60,000 lumens shortly. And it's anywhere between 150 to 170 lumens per watt, depending on what lumen package you're using. So with that, we have lenses. We have different types of lenses. We have the regular lens, which is general, wide, and then we also have IOA lens with the lenses built into the actual, or I guess the lens is built into that. So IOA is built into the lens, so you don't put a reflector on the fixture or anything. So you just fill up the lenses very easy. Then we also have a plug-and-play system on the back, which is a plug that goes into the back of our fixture. So most customers will hardwire that product up on the ceiling and then plug it in at the fixture, which is nice because in the future, if you ever have to move it or do anything with the fixture, you can just unplug it and not have to have somebody unwire the fixture at the box or whatever and spend the money with another plug up top. And then the other thing is we use all tier 1 components with our products. So we're using Samsung or Nietzsche chips. We're using Osram, Advanced Philips, or Samsung drivers in our products. So we can also tier 1 components. So we can be very, very price competitive with using tier 1 components that we build and put together up at Orion.
How many hours do your high bays last, Mike? I know that they're going to vary between them, but just a general idea.
Most of them will last over 100,000 hours. I mean, there's some at 150, 120, but all over 100,000 hours. And just the reason we do that is because we dissipate the heat and keep electronics cool.
Yeah, very good. So you just came out with a new product, what, last month maybe? Your round high bays.
Yes.
Go
ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. We have been selling these. I was actually on a job site yesterday and took some pictures for a guy. We feel that they are extremely competitive and actually come in less than your number 1 competitor in the Indianapolis market, with a lot more lifespan to these things. We believe that it's an absolute home run, and it's starting to take a lot of traction, and it hasn't been on the market long at all. So tell us about that product, Mike.
Well, the round high bay is a new product for us. We've always done linear. We haven't done anything besides linear. So the round high bay is new for us. Basically designed our specifications and everything. The life of the product's over 100,000 hours, like our product before. Very nice white finish paint. We need different paint if you need it. Just let us know that. It goes from 14,000 lumens up to right around 35 to 36,000 lumens. Comes with different options. And the other thing is all our product, I forgot to say, has at least 6 kV in it, which is surge protection. We're starting to see a lot of product that has less than that. So all our product has a good surge protection in it with the product. So we're excited about it. It's a very good price point because it seems like people that do not want linear want the round. We now have that option. It's also a sealed fixture, IP66, and it has an IK rating, which means impact. So the lens is very strong, but you don't need a wire guard on the bottom of it. So it's very good for gymnasiums and industrial manufacturing warehousing too.
Yeah, we're getting ready to put them in a natatorium for a pool, and we think they're going to look fantastic for that application. We will, if anybody's interested in seeing those in operation here late next week or the following week, we will make the transition at our counter area to the Orion high bays. So we'll have them up and burning in a week or two. So we love the product. And one thing I think that I am very guilty of neglecting to talk about is the surge protection. You guys do a great job at that. And when we're comparing products, I think a lot of times we fail to look at that. Are you with me? Do you agree with me that that's an extremely important thing to take a look at?
Yeah, because you remember we've been doing high bays and manufacturing plants since like 2000. And you see a lot of surge issues in plants with just the machining and what's going on with those long runs and stuff. And a lot of people, to cut costs, are the drivers, the surge isn't as good as it used to be and stuff. So you're going to have issues. So you got to make sure that surge protection's up there. We feel above 5. We also can go to 10 with if they want that, but 6 is what our standard is. And we just see a lot of people right now that are using different drivers and stuff that just the ratings aren't real good on it. Also the chips, we're starting to see a lot of chips in the industry that are made for different applications, but are not made to be in the high bay market and have that robust part of the chip, because you're going to be in some environments and some electrical systems that just are not the best. And you really have to use quality stuff to make it last.
Yeah, we do talk about when we get into site lighting oftentimes with the end use customer. And I think many times we neglect to talk about it when we're doing some warehousing or spaces like that. But you're exactly right. When it comes to manufacturing, we had an issue last year where we had a bunch of fixtures with problems because of some bastard voltages that were put back onto the system from equipment, and the fixtures couldn't handle it. So they quit working.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody can, everybody has the option to do higher kV and stuff. Just make sure as a customer when you're out there looking at that kind of stuff, it's important to look at the quality of the fixture. The lumens per watt are important because the return on investment, you're going to save more energy long term. And just how they manage the heat in the fixture and then do some things to give you a quality fixture, because the biggest cost with these products is if you have to go up and touch it after you put it in. So the longer it's going to last, the more return on investment you're going to get. So always think about those main things when you're out there looking at the project.
Well, I have supplied in the email that went out with this video everybody the cell sheets and the spec sheets for the round and the linear high bays. Guys, I very, very much encourage you at least look at the cell sheet. It's quick, easy. It gives you a lot of information. You can take a glance at it and learn a lot quickly. I very much encourage you to go back to the last high bays that you bought, whatever they are. Look at them, look at these things, look at the lumens per watt, look at the life ratings, compare them to the RAB, and then call me and get a price on them and see where we're at. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Guys, I've said it before. I'll say it hopefully for a long, long time. Orion's kind of like my secret weapon. We have great success with these guys, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So, next week, Mike, we're going to talk about some new products that you have. We're going to talk about your new line of area lighting. You don't know this yet, but I might try to get you to talk about some strip lights a little bit next week. And we're going to talk about what I believe is an absolutely phenomenal product. We've got tens of thousands of these out to quote. COVID's kind of slowing that down, but that's your LDRE series of retrofit 2x4. So we'll get those next week to everybody. Mike, I appreciate more than for you coming with us today. It's a big deal to me as a salesperson in distribution to be able to call your cell phone and have you answer. And, we are lucky in the Indianapolis market that you're not far away. If we've got a job, if anybody out there has a job that, you need to bring in a little somebody extra to talk to the end use customer. We had Mike out last week in front of a superintendent of a school and some school board members. So I don't want to speak out of turn, Mike, but you're available.
Yeah. And, I always tell people one last thing. Orion is probably the best kept secret that some people's never heard of. Then they want to bring up is we probably work with, a lot of the Fortune 500s too that we do. I tell people, Toyota's one. We do all of Toyota North America for manufacturing. You might fool those people once or maybe twice, but you're not going to fool them 13 times. So it comes down to all the options and everything we have to offer. And, we're small enough too, if somebody's got a special thing they want done, we're not going to do it for 10 fixtures. But if somebody wants something done a little different, we can do that because we're made in America and we're very nimble at the plant. So it's been great. And I look forward to answering any questions from anybody, helping anybody out that we need to on projects.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say every single person watching this video has seen your products. They just don't know it.
Probably.
For what it's worth, it's phenomenal. And, I think Allphase supports Orion very well. Not me specifically, but our office works with you on some projects right now that are extremely interesting, that took a lot of engineering. And some unique things that isn't necessarily easy to get done in a lot of places.
Yeah, and to ship it.
And
So, and I tell everybody, if you come to our factory, we have all the components on the shelf. We just don't build them until you order them, but we'll ship them in 10 business days or less. So all we do is deliver it when we say we're going to deliver it. It works when it shows up, and you can get on off the job as fast as possible, because that's what will kill you, and we know that from our own experience. If you got to stay on the job longer because the product doesn't work, it's damaged when it shows up, or you can't get a few to finish it, it's not a good situation. So that's what we're here for. We'd love to try it and prove you guys we can do it.
yeah, I mean, I encourage everybody, you get a job where you've got, let's just say, a dozen high bays, right? I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Give us a shot on something small.
Yep.
And then when you get that job with 2,000 high bays, I bet you call us back.
Yes.
So, Mike, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're a busy guy. Appreciate it. We'll get back. You and I will get together early next week, record the second part of this, and we'll teach you next week about these door retrofit kits, area lights, and maybe we'll talk about strip fixtures a little bit and what your abilities are with them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all. We'll talk to you all very soon.
Okay, guys, that wraps it up for week one with Orion Lighting and Vice President of Sales, Mr. Mike Ontrop. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today. Look forward to seeing what you have to talk about next week. And guys, don't forget, at the end of the third video of this 3-part series, I am going to draw one name for whoever lets me know they watched all 3. If you're in the Indianapolis area, we'll get you dinner to Tony's Steakhouse, Ruth Chris, St. Elmo, something like that. If you're up in Kokomo, maybe Marvel the Steakhouse or one of these, and we'll figure something out if the winner comes out of Lafayette. So, like I say, just text me, email me, put it in the comments below after the third video that you watch tomorrow. We're gonna draw a winner. So, see you all next week. Thank you very much.